Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from AnthonysCustoms, and for this review, we're looking at a robot Damashii or robot spirits figure, which we haven't done in a very long time, and that's only because there hasn't really been anything that I wanted to buy. I've wanted this guy for forever, so I figured, what the heck? Let's get one, let's review it. This is the Hyper Mode of God Gundam, aka Burning Gundam, and it's very cool because it's almost all translucent plastic and or shiny gold, which is just, why not? Let's go all out. So let's go ahead and take this guy off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just over 5.5 inches, pretty close to 5 5/8, which will make it roughly 14.5, closer to 14 centimeters actually, if you look at it at the right angle. So yeah, he's not the biggest figure in the world. These are definitely fairly small figures, but they sure do pack in a ton of detail, and that's what I love about the RD line. That's why I wish they would release more things that I'm excited for. But this guy's just awesome. Mostly translucent plastic. Even the things that don't look like they're translucent most likely are on this guy. And then there's lots of gold and just shininess, and what's not to like about that? So let's go ahead and talk about accessories before we get into anything else, because there's a whole bunch of accessories. The first thing is the backpack, and yeah, you could argue it's not an accessory, but let's talk about it. So the backpack does peg into the back, and it's a fixed peg system, but then we have this part on a swivel or on a hinge, so you can move this. Each of these little thrusters is on a ball peg, so they'll move around a little bit, and then the wings themselves, each side has a hinge, which lets them go forward and back, and then they can also separate. So it's a pretty nice little backpack. Looks very cool, and that obviously opens up. If you haven't watched the show, you need to watch the show. Alright, you need to, because it's one of the most fun out there. It's so much fun. It's a good show. And then, the cool thing about this is you can combine that with this. So this guy pegs in to him, and then you get the big ring of clear translucent plastic, or translucent colored plastic with the rings on it. It looks very cool, and that pegs in and it goes like that, and you'll see photos at the end of how it actually looks. I'm not going to peg it in and unpeg it right now just because it's kind of a hassle, but it's totally worth it. So yeah, very, very cool looking with the backpack and the ring of light. And then we have different chest pieces. We have the one chest piece, which is everything closed up, and then we have the chest piece where everything is opened up, and we have some nice vacuum chrome inside, which really makes it stand out and look awesome. We have a whole bunch of different hands. We have the 2 fist hands that come on him in the package, 2 gripping hands, 2 karate chop style hands, 2 style pose hands with the fingers kind of bent, and then 2 style pose hands with the fingers wide open. Then we have our 2 beam sabers. They do come apart, so you can put the handles in the hip holder thingies, but you then, of course, can also connect the blades, which is just, they're very, very nicely done. They have this really, really clear, translucent pink plastic. I keep saying clear, translucent. That's not necessary, but you get the idea. They look awesome. We do also get his fireball effect, which is done nicely. It's a metallic orange with a little bit of shading on there. It's very cool. However, we don't have a display stand in the package to hold this up, so you have to provide that on your own. We do get the extended gauntlet pieces with the kind of flared out fingers and the posable clear orange claw thingies, which just look really awesome, and it's a nice way to pose the figure a little bit more dynamically. And then lastly, we have a little tiny peg holder thingy that goes on his backpack so that you can use a display stand for the figure. So yeah, plenty of stuff. Lots of stuff that comes with this guy. So definitely a cool purchase. Now he's also loaded with detail, like I mentioned. So let's just take a look at that. Let's look at the face. Look at those details. It's so tiny, but so well done. The paints are all in place. The sculpts are super sharp and crisp. So nicely done. And as you can see now that we're up close, there are a bunch of different shades of gold. Most of it is this color, though. I guess about half of it is this color. And then there's a different gold inside the details. Just very, very nicely done. You can see even the vents here have different colors. Then you can see we have a lot of translucent plastic that looks like it wasn't translucent, but when you get up close, it is. So it's painted nicely, very nicely. For instance, these legs, they're technically all translucent with just a little bit of the paint on there to hide it. But then this one has even less, because it's shaded going back, so this is more translucent back here. The hip pieces are half translucent. The skirt pieces, half translucent. So most of the plastic is in fact translucent. It just has the paint on top, which is a very cool effect. And then you do have that mixed with the solid pieces like here in the torso. Very, very cool. As far as the articulation goes, the head, or at least the neck, is on a ball peg, so it moves around just fine. The head, I'm pretty sure the head's on just a ball peg again, no ball hinges here. So I'm happy about that. And if I am wrong about that, that's fine because it still works very nicely. But I'm pretty sure it's just double ball pegs. So that's good. The head moves around just fine. Shoulder pads move around independently from the arms, and I'll show you that in just a second. First, I want to show you that we have a really nice butterfly joint coming out of that torso. Look at that range. Very, very nicely done. And since it's a mecha, it doesn't really kill the sculpt too much at all, so that's good. Shoulder pad, like I said, is on a separate hinge from the arm. It's a little stiff, but it does hinge. There we go. It does hinge separately, so that's very nice. And then, of course, we can move the arm in there on its own hinge. Cool thing is, this piece right here that you can see moving with the arm is technically even separated from the arm because the arm has a ball peg that it's connected on. So you just get tons of range on this guy. I mean, look at that. With the shoulder pad all the way up, you can raise the arm better than horizontal. Just tons of range. And then, of course, that does give you your bicep swivel, so no problems there. Only real problem is, as you're posing it, these guys love to pop off. They're not particularly loose. Like, they won't just fall off on their own, but they will pop off if you bump them or grab them. We do have a double jointed elbow. Be aware, though, this piece likes to get in the way, so it's not bad. I mean, you still get good range with that piece. You get a little bit better range if you move away from that piece. So that's pretty good. Really nice range there. This cut line right here is going to give you a swivel. It's a little tricky to use sometimes if you're not holding the elbow area, but you do get your swivel. And then for the wrists, we have an extending double ball peg. So that gives you plenty of options there for posing those arms. Lots of great articulation in this guy. This version seems to be a little bit stiffer than the original release. That could just be that I remember it being looser than it is, though. For the torso, we have some really nice ab crunch. It's engineered very well. It tucks in on itself, and you get pretty solid range, and it just looks nice. No problem at all there. And then the lower torso is on just a really big ball peg, so it moves around all over the place. No problem at all. Does it extend? I don't remember. Let's see. I don't think any parts actually... Oh, it does. All right. So, hey, that's even better. Look at that. So it has really nice range when it's extended, but you can also push it down to close that gap, and it looks even better. So, wow. That's good. That is good. I'm glad I remembered that before the review is over. For the crotch piece, this doesn't have any movement at all. These guys are on ball pegs, so they move around just fine. They get out of the way, no problem at all for bringing the legs forward. You can do any kind of poses you want, really, with these legs. Lots of range. That's pretty good. And then for this piece, just another ball peg, but again, it goes almost all the way up, so pretty much no limitations. You can see the hips are on that extra swivel, which is just not necessary. It's not a great design. You don't need it. I mean, you can get the leg up that far without it. With it, it goes a little bit farther, but I mean, I guess it's worth it. That's going to be a value call for you guys, because for me personally, I'd rather it not be there because it's kind of a pain in the ass to pose because of it. You want to move the leg and that starts swinging around, and it just kind of sucks. But if you really need to do a high kick, then it's necessary. So it's up to you, whichever you prefer. I think it should just be a little bit stiffer, and that would be good. For this back skirt piece, it's on a hinged ball peg so that it moves up and down as you need it to, and it'll tab in. If I remember correctly, it should tab in at some point. There we go, to hold it in place. But otherwise, it just moves around freely on that ball peg, so that's pretty good. As for the knees, we have really nice range. Definitely not the best looking knee, though. It gets very cumbersome, and unfortunately, that's because we have this swivel. Some people like this. It's totally unnecessary as far as I'm concerned, because you do have a really nice thigh swivel. Unencumbered thigh swivel, so you really don't need that unnatural swivel at the knee. And it just makes it extra boxy. So it's a little bit of a bummer, but it's not really a problem per se. For the ankles, this piece just kind of floats around on a ball peg, just kind of hides things. And the foot is just really nicely done. I don't know why they do this, though. Almost all the Gundams can put their foot all the way down. You don't really need that. It'd be much better to be able to bring it forward, and you can't really do that. You have I think it's a ball peg, right? Yeah, it's a ball peg with that hinge in there, so you can rotate the foot around and give yourself an ankle rocker if you want. But it doesn't have the functionality I would like out of it. And then, of course, the ankle itself is on a ball peg, so it'll rotate around and lean a little bit. So ankle rocker-wise, it's fine, but toe hinge, pretty non-existent. That's kind of a bummer. Then lastly, there's a little bit of a thing right here. This piece pops out, and it has a double hinge, so you can kind of open that up and see the internals, which is just a nice little feature. It looks pretty cool. It's well executed. They say this could scratch, so be careful with that. But there you go. It's a really, really solid figure, really nicely done. If I remember correctly, when this guy first came out, the original release, he was one of my top 10 figures of the year. So an all gold version, well, hey, that's just even better. It's not for this year though, so I can't give it. But oh, I didn't really mention this in detail. You do have these little swivelly things that hold the beam saber handles. So yeah, there it is, guys. Really, really solid figure. Stick around for the photos at the end so you can see some of these features in action. Actually, it's pretty much just the backpack, but still, and the chest. Pretty cool figure. I definitely recommend it, though it does come in at a higher price point. I think it's probably worth it. Very, very nicely done, and it just looks freaking awesome. Thanks a bunch for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos up every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, video games, all kinds of fun stuff. So make sure you come back for that. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. And in the meantime, keep collecting.